You said to us that you have no interest in birthing children. You are not interested in having any kids.
No.
Why?
I've always known that I didn't want children. Babies are cute. But they're so adorable.
Would you rather have a cat
Oh
than have a
yes,
child?
I would have a house filled with cats. Cats are so cute.
You would rather have a house filled with cats than have a child.
Yeah.
We are in Nigeria, and I assume that most Nigerian men would want to have kids. I've heard a man say to me before, you are not a real woman if you don't want to have kids, right?
For me personally, if it comes down to it, it's a non-negotiable. I don't want to date a man who wants a child.
There are people that would say, what if your mom didn't give birth to you?
Well, so sorry to her, because it's like, I didn't choose to be here. She gave birth to me for her own reasons. I had no part in that decision making.
But are you not happy that she gave birth to you? Are you not happy that she chose?
Oh, let's not go into it. Absolutely not.
So you wish you weren't born?
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, absolutely not.
But why? You think the world is just hard?
I have to pay bills. I have to exist. I have the brain that I have that wants to kill me all the time. No, I do not. Absolutely not.
So for people that would say, okay, that's a woman's purpose, how
it's
would
not
you
my
defend
purpose.
that?
My purpose is to experience life. My purpose is not to birth children. I'm sorry. Like, what does that even mean?
But imagine if everybody said that, then the world would have gone into extinction.
Okay, then let it.
You think the world should go? Welcome to today's episode of Doing's Corner. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing a very interesting topic. It's actually skipping motherhood, right? There are a lot of people that believe that, a woman's life purpose is to have a child and birth the child and go on that pregnancy journey and nurture a child and give birth to the next doctor and the next president and the next lawyer. And, that's a very good case to make. But there are also a lot of women that think, I don't want to have kids, especially in this age and time, There are a lot of people that just are very liberal and they're like, you know what, I want my freedom, I want my independence, I don't want to be attached to anyone for the rest of my life, I don't want to be responsible for anyone. And I don't know that that's a bad way to live your life. So I just think to each his own. So today we have a very, very beautiful and intelligent young woman with us in the studio to discuss this topic. So I'm going to leave her to introduce herself. Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Kamni Lechko, popularly known on the internet as Joy Jagger. I am a visual artist / poet. And in my spare time, I run like a radio show. But yeah.
I will not let this episode go by without mentioning how eloquent you are. Like, it's so important to me because it's so nice to hear people that just speak without struggle.
Thank you so much.
And I feel like you speak very well.
I appreciate you.
Okay, so today's topic, we're going to be talking about skipping motherhood, right? And you said to us that you have no interest in birthing children. You are not interested in having any kids.
No.
Why?
I think for me, I've always known that I didn't want children. Right from when I was like 18, and there are like women who sort of like they just know that, oh my god, like it just like get goosebumps, like I want to have a child. And for me, I've never felt that pull. I've never felt maternal. I don't know. I just like babies are cute.
Because I was going to ask that. Don't you find children like,
oh my god, they're so adorable. But I also think a cat is adorable.
Can you really replace children with cats?
I'm not saying replace them. I'm just saying that like children are adorable, but I also find cats adorable. But I've never felt like maternal towards like having a child.
Would you rather have a cat than have a child?
I would have a house filled with cats. Cats are so cute.
You'd rather have a house filled with cats than have a child?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, so you're Nigerian. You live in Nigeria, right? I understand how most of us in this generation can have a very liberal mindset and say, okay, yeah, I want to do my own thing. But I know that our parents are more like traditional and they're very set in their ways.
Yeah.
Is this a conversation you've had with your parents and how did they take it?
I think my parents they let you do what you want. My father is very liberal in his thinking, at least up until now. he has always like told us to, like, go and, question everything, think for yourself, ask questions if you're confused.
Mhm.
Last year I had the conversation finally with my mother, and yeah, the reception is not great. It's just like, somebody gave birth to you, you must give birth to somebody. And I worry about like that line of thinking, but I do respect that that's how, and every day she's like, oh, I'm praying for you, girl, I hope you have a husband. Because again, I'm the first child in like I have four siblings, and one of them is married, so you can imagine the amount of like pressure that exists every day for me. But it's my life at the end of the day, and I will live it the way I see fit.
So does this mean that you not wanting to have kids, is this also spilling towards marriage? Are you also like, I don't want to get married. I just want to live my life. I don't want to be tied to anybody. Or is it just we kids?
I mean, in my early 20s, when I was like still in uni, I was like, oh yeah, it would be so nice to be married. But right now, I think that where I am at mentally, if it happens, cool. If it doesn't, great. Um, because I also say this thing all the time on the internet where it's like, dissenter man, I beg you. Because you can't live your entire life thinking that your entire purpose or your entire like what you're supposed to be doing with your life is to end up married. That's just sad, honestly.
Fair. Are you sure? Is this truly? Because there are a lot of people that would say, I want to get married, but deep down in their hearts, it's because they've not found a man. And there's this thing where they say the man chooses. It's not really women that choose. Men choose when they want to get married. So there are people that can make the argument of, oh, it's because she hasn't found a man to choose her. Right. And I know you spoke about the century men. So I'm like, I'm sure
Yeah.
you find it
I
weird
think
that they're
babies
saying a
are
man
cute.
will
I think they're
choose
very
you.
adorable,
But
and
that's
they
Yeah,
kind of
choosing
how
me
it
for
works with
what?
marriage.
Like, you just go
Choosing
into
you to be
like
his wife.
livestock, and then you point. It's like, oh, that's the biggest cow. Give me that. It's so. I mean, it's listen. I think that for me, it's more or less. I've had like really great partners, and I've been in love multiple times. I've dated really awesome people, but the thing is, choose me as how.
As his
I'm
wife.
great. I'm a fantastic partner. I mean, just not to say that there are not blind spots, but I recognize how great I am as a partner. But choosing me has nothing to do with whether or not I want to be married. But if you're a woman who wants to be married, but you also understand the importance of decentering men, I don't think that you should be, you should feel sad for wanting connection and wanting, like, to be partnered, because we're wired for connection, we're wired for partnership. And if at the end of the day you go back to your bedroom and you're like, oh my god, I wish this was me, there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't think you should be ashamed or feel some type of way for wanting or desiring connection. It's a natural thing that happens to people, and it's okay. And if the universe feels like, it's time, someone who loves you and respects you would come your way.
Why is
Um,
it so? You keep mentioning decentering men. Why is it so important that we decenter men?
oh, decenter them for sure, because you cannot live your life thinking that one, your entire world revolves around a
Not
man.
really, not revolving around a man, but there are people that
Tell me
really want
how
to
many.
take care of a man. They want to nurture their husband. They
Oh,
want to
why?
be. I want to nurture my husband and I want to
Yo.
take care of my husband. And you don't want to take care of your husband?
So the concept of decentering men is not around not being great partners. When I say decentering men, is that for we as women are socialized to cater to men. We're socialized that our thoughts don't matter. Whatever it is that we are doing, we're less than men.
Not really. I think
That's
men have their
you have the
responsibilities and women
privilege
have their
of you
responsibilities.
have the privilege of critical thought.
Mm,
Most women
fair.
don't.
Fair.
You're able to decipher where you start and where a man starts, or where you end and where a man starts, or where a man starts and where you end. The average woman has been socialized to think that they're beneath men.
Man, I see where you're coming
And honestly, decenter them, please. I will. You can go and check my IG, and then decenter them.
Thank you. So we're gonna go on a quick break and we'll be back shortly. So there are a lot of women that say, I don't really care. I don't want to get married. We like to form this, I'm very open-minded. I'm liberal. I'm not. But deep down in their hearts, right? They're praying. They're like, God send me a man. Is that really like a real thing that people feel, or is it just because I haven't gotten a man?
Although I have like very deep sentiments about like decentering men as a thing.
Mm,
I think that women should decenter men. But I think that also it's okay if that's where you're at. If that's something that like you still want, like we're wired for connection, we're wired for companionship. Even when we're like, oh, I don't care. There are parts of us that still want, like, you crave that because like
yeah.
naturally that's how we're wired. And it's okay, it's very valid if you go to your inner chamber and you're like, God, please. That's very valid. And I don't think there's something to be ashamed about or something for you to feel like, oh, I need to cover this part of me so that
Mm,
people don't see it. But what I would say though is that if that's something that you're praying for or something you deeply, deeply want, I hope that this life is long. Life is
right.
long, as
Can
long
change your
as
mind at any point.
exactly, and as long as like the universal God will allow it, I think that you can, find other things to occupy yourself with, and make your life feel as full and as beautiful as you know God intended for it to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking, you said we're wired for connection and we're wired for, that companionship. There are a lot of women that would say that having a child is a form of, it's a bond that the people that argue that that's something that every woman needs. Like the people that say you don't know what love is until you've had a child. Have you heard that statement before?
Yes,
People
I
make that
have.
statement a lot. I probably don't know what love is because I haven't had a child. But the people that are like, the moment you birth your own child, then you understand the concept of love. Do you feel that, oh, you might be robbing yourself off of that feeling? Or do you feel like, is this really the right decision that I'm
I
making?
think it's a very naive thing to say. Unfortunately, yes, biologically, women or people who are, biologically born as women, shout out to my trans sisters. But I think that biologically, women who are they give birth to you and you're a woman,
Yeah.
that's what is expected of you. And then people who say that like if you children at the way the to feel
To feel love.
unconditional love,
Yeah.
I think that that's, for me, from a personal point of view, I think that that's wrong. Because there you live a very long life, hopefully, and in the span of that lifetime there are many ways that you can experience love.
Mm.
So many, like, ways that even you do not think is possible, from the love of yourself to the love of your family to the love of your friends.
Is it as deep as the love you would feel for your child, though? I know there are different kinds of love
I wouldn't know about the love for a child,
because you've not had one yet.
but it doesn't mean that my life is devoid of love, unconditional love, simply because I do not have a child. I don't need to have a child to experience unconditional love.
Let's take it to relationships now, right? We are in Nigeria, and I assume that most Nigerian men would want to have kids. I've
Um,
heard a man say to me before, "You are not a real woman if you don't want to have kids," right? How has that affected you in terms of like dating? Because I would assume that that has already cut out a lot of people for you in
mhm.
terms of dating. Like, because most, if you line up 10 men here and you say, I don't want to have kids, I would assume that at least six of them are like, okay, goodbye, you're not the one for me. So how has that affected you in
I
dating?
think dating in Nigeria in itself is an extreme sport.
I
Um,
agree.
Most women would agree with me.
I agree.
But the thing is, for me personally, there's a way that I found a way around it. And I think that even if you wanted children, there are things that you would still look out for when you're dating anybody. um I ask a lot of questions right from the jump. Do you want children? If you want kids, then I unfortunately that's not something that can go long term. Short
Right.
term, I could go out on a date with you, have a really good time, get to know you as a person. I think that being vocal about my not wanting kids has also changed the way I date, because now I'm not dating with a destination in mind. I'm mostly very curious about people, and wanting to say, oh, this is who you are, meet people, talk to them, and see how what parts of myself that they bring to the surface when I'm
Right.
talking to them. Because again, with you, there's a way that I am. And
Mm-hmm.
then with someone else, there's a way that I
True.
would show up. And I've just like really enjoyed discovering myself through the dates I go on. So, for example, one of my most popular content that everybody, I mean, I hate to say that, but like people wait and look forward to it is my dating wrapped. I do it every year, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe the things that you've seen in this Lagos," and it's been very interesting. But even during those like the process of dating, I have also come to realize that not wanting children changes the way that like you approach relationships. Because once you say I don't want to a Nigerian man, as soon as you say it, they're out the door. That conversation, whatever it is you're saying, is entering here and
And
coming
it's
out from
coming
here.
out of the other
They're not
one.
hearing anything. But I have been very fortunate to meet really cool people who also want the same things that I want.
Men, Nigerian men
Yeah.
that don't want to have kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh wow.
I one of my favorite people in fact um doesn't want children, and he's not even ashamed or afraid to say that, which is another thing that I want to talk about. Is when it comes to the conversation about not having kids, men are usually left out of the statistics, because it's like, oh, one in let's say for example women, this is fictional by the way, I'm just very hypothetical, is they say, oh, 5 women out of hundreds do not want to have children. Where are the men in that? Because more often than not, I have met more men who do not want to have children in this country than women who want kids.
I mean, many people would make the argument that men don't really. I don't agree that men don't have a say. I don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, I think that a man has to be a willing father for him to be present and active in that child's life, because they're providing for the child and they're to some extent nurturing that child too. Do you get? So I think that men should have a choice, but should have a voice in that department. But is it really? They're not really the ones carrying the baby, so
I don't even think
should we really take their?
I don't think it's about the choice in what a woman should or should not do with their body. I think it's just even the choice in deciding that they do not want kids. There's someone that I know, and he would love that I'm sharing his story on the internet. He would love that. I met him like 2 years ago, and he's a very private person, and he told me straight from the jump, "Come here, I don't want kids. If that's something you're interested in, please let's not do this." And I thought that was interesting, because for the first time I've been on this earth for like 32 years, and for the first time that was the first time I met someone a man who
Right.
did not want children. And I thought, fascinating, you people exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it delighted me so, and ever since then I have made it a point to not date men who actually want children. Because if you do, especially long term,
Right.
short term is fine, like we can go out on dates, we can have fun, do whatever. But in terms of like actually, long term, I don't think that is something that would ever, it's a non-negotiable for me. If you want kids, I can't date you long term.
So now my question is this: say hypothetically, right? You were to meet this very charming, charismatic, handsome guy, and everything just gels. You know how you meet someone and you're like, there's no way it's not written somewhere in the stars for me and this person to meet, right? And you could have a great love story, great bond. And of course, I'm sure you'd communicate that with him at the beginning. See, I don't want kids, da da da. But just like you said, human beings, like we're constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 3 years, he says, I think I want kids now. You don't have to even get pregnant. You don't have to carry. Let's just adopt.
Mm.
Are you going to say this relationship is over?
Very much so. Yes.
What happened to love?
I mean, love is great. But I think that for me, but it has happened to me, on multiple occasions where I'm dating someone and they're in the same headspace as me, and then eventually down the line, 2 years down the line, they're like, "I think you should change your mind," and I'm like, "No," because they thought that it was a joke.
Mm,
When I say I don't want kids, everybody's like, "Oh, come on, you grow out of it, you change your mind." And maybe there are people who don't want kids now and they want to change their mind, and that's okay. But for me personally, I'm very, very secure in my reason. But if maybe like in 5 years time I decided I want kids, there are alternative ways to be a mother outside of having your own biological child.
true.
You can adopt, you can foster. Like there are so many ways to be a mom, as opposed like outside of
Birthing the
birthing
child
a
yourself.
child. And I think that for me personally, if it comes down to it, it's a non-negotiable. I don't want to date a man who wants a child.
Mm.
Like, that part where it's like, "Oh, I want mini me, I want them running around, it's so cute." And I say, "No, we can't work." Like, that's just something that would never work for me.
Okay, so I'm going to just ask the questions that I think are on the minds of people, because there are people that it is their life's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
The women that will say, as a woman, this is my life purpose. I want to have a child. I want to. A lot of them can make the argument or think that, oh, maybe she doesn't want to have kids because she doesn't think she'll be a good mom. She doesn't think she. There are people that would say that if I have kids, I'm worried that I wouldn't be a good mom. There are also people that would, personally, I have the fear of carrying the baby, that journey, that pregnancy journey, right? Me, I don't mind having kids. So I'm not like saying I don't want to have kids. Like, I love children and I would like to have my own child one day, right? But that process of carrying the baby
Mm-hmm.
is a bit hectic. If you go on YouTube and you watch the whole pregnancy journey, it is
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And
It
then the
is.
delivery process is scary, right? So the people that would say is either she thinks she's going to be a bad mom, she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't think she can nurture a child, or maybe she just, either she cannot like physically carry a child,
Mm-hmm.
or is it biologically or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
carry a child, or she's just scared of the pregnancy journey. What would your response be to that?
I think it's very interesting that there are people who would think that, because it's not today. I've been living this journey for years. Um, so the idea of me not being a good mom, I think that that's very interesting. I, I in my friend group, I'm the mom friend. I'm a nurturer at heart. I raised four children, my siblings. They might not agree that they're my kids, but those people are my children. I
Mhm.
raised them. I don't think that that's the reason, and I also don't think that it's because I cannot have a child. I have a functioning reproductive system.
How do you know though? Have you tested
Oh,
it? How do you know it's
very
functioning?
much so, because at some point, I mean, I have a period every month.
But there are a lot of women that get periods and they're not able to
Oh no, I
get
know
pregnant.
that I can get pregnant. You don't have to worry about that. I know. I do know. But there's that. But then there's also the part where it's like, what's the last one?
Being scared of the pregnancy
This guy. I
journey
mean, let's be real here for a second. The process of having a child,
is very scary, to be honest.
from when you're pregnant
Mm-hmm.
till 9 months when you actually go to the delivery ward and you have a kid, that entire process is mind numbing. And I feel like people who take that for granted do not understand the amount of work and the amount of emotional, work that goes into that.
Right.
Physically, it's very tasking, it's uncomfortable as hell. But I want to say that, like, childbearing is labor that sustains the world. you The reason why in fact, not the country, the world runs, is because women give birth to children.
Mhm.
Male women, male or female rather,
Right.
is that they come in, they grow up, and they become functioning adults who can contribute to society
Mm-hmm.
by going to work, becoming, adding to capitalism, or like
Right.
being like, you know what I mean. Um, Childbearing is labor that sustains the world. And for someone to be as very like, oh, flippant and think that, oh, this is nothing because you can biologically do it, doesn't mean that you have to. Because
But
until you understand the amount of work that it is, I
mhm,
don't think that people should take that very lightly. It is labor, it literal work that is thankless.
it's hard work, to
It's
be
hard
honest. It's
work.
hard work. It's very scary. It's very scary. But then there's also this thing where, sorry, I lost my train of thought a
It's
little because I'm
okay.
thinking about the process of actually giving birth to a
It's
child.
hard
It's
work.
hard work. Have you watched videos on YouTube where people push out, like the
Yeah.
actual pushing out? I feel like that is scary.
And
But
not just that, the changes it makes to your body, and even like DNA wise, like your body changes fundamentally, and everybody just acts like it's okay because that's what your body is
But is it
supposed to
exact?
do.
That's what I was going to say. Because people can make that argument that you have a uterus for a reason. God created you as a woman for a reason. God gave you like the womb to carry the child. So does it? Is it not almost like you're
Yeah,
not
because I
fulfilling
am
your
supposed to do
purpose?
something doesn't mean that I have to do. I'm sorry. Like I'm not gonna do that. The fact that I have to do it doesn't
Oh
mean I should.
wow!
The fact, for example, I sleep in my room and I'm like, oh, I should wake up and go and make the. It doesn't mean
It
I
doesn't
have
mean you're
to
gonna
eat
do
dinner.
it.
I can do something else. I can sit on my phone and scroll on TikTok for hours. Like,
But then
no.
there are people that would say, "What if your mom didn't give birth to you?"
Well, so sorry to her because it's like I didn't choose to be here. She gave birth to me for her own reasons. I had no part in that decision making.
But are you not happy that she gave birth to you? Are you not happy that she
Oh,
chose to
let's not go
give birth
into
to you?
it. Absolutely not.
You're not happy that
Oh
your mom.
no.
So you wish you weren't born.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, absolutely not.
Oh, why? You think the world is just hard?
I have to pay bills. I have to exist. I have the brain that I have that wants to kill me all the time. No, I do not. Absolutely not. I'm so sorry if this is like very matter of fact
Mm.
and it feels like I'm joking, but I'm not. I had no decision, like I had no say in them bringing me here. Love them. They're great parents.
Mm-hmm.
But no, absolutely not.
When you were speaking, there was something that came to mind, right? A lot of people would say that, okay, that's a selfish thing to do. Like you're living selfishly. Like, you know, you should want to procreate. And, how would you answer? How would you respond
Why?
to them?
My question is why? I should want to, why?
Because you're a woman, I guess.
Yo, see, I don't have to do anything.
And
That's
you don't think it's selfish.
even if it is my own selfishness that does not harm anybody. Like me choosing not to have children does not stop other people from having kids.
True.
The population of the world is still going to increase because there are people who genuinely want to have kids, and I think they'll be fantastic parents. Like my best friend, she's going to be the best mother and I'm going to be a really rich, nice
And
aunt. Oh, the thing is, there are people who want to do this. They enjoy the idea of being parents, and I think that they're going to raise like really amazing, amazing children, and I think that they should have the resources and the time to do that. But for people like me, imagine me having a child. What do you
why
think will
not?
happen to the child?
Well, I think the child will be fine. I think you're very
Eh,
intelligent. I
yeah,
think
no.
you would actually bring a lot of like value to the world. So I assume that you would, you
I
know,
already bring value to the
yeah, but I assume that
world.
you would raise very good kids, to be
I think
honest.
I would. I think I'll be an amazing mom.
But you
But
just
it
don't
doesn't
want to.
mean that
You
I
just
have
don't
to
want to.
do
You want to
it.
keep all of that awesomeness to yourself.
I'm already doing the awesome thing by like, building like whatever stuff that I am doing in my work, in my friendships, in my family. I'm already like doing a lot of that. I'm making impact in people's lives. I don't see the reason to bring somebody here. First of all, as a woman, let's even start from there. Do you think that this world is a nice place to bring a child into? Do you like Are we not thinking? Let's
I
put two,
think I
put
think
two and two
there's
together.
I think there's
Like,
good and bad in the world,
no,
right?
it's
I think that's
horrible.
no, I don't think the world is
It's horrible.
completely horrible. I think that the people that are living in this world are living amazing, fantastic lives. And I think that everybody's
Whew,
life has good and bad.
whew.
Everybody's life, you think everybody's life is bad? I think
I
everybody's life has
I
good and
think
bad. And to
about
just focus on the bad and say because of that I'm not going to bring kids is a bit, that's like
that's
a
not the reason
little
why I don't want kids, by the way, just so that we're clear on that.
okay.
I just think that a lot of people who want children, while I think that there 50% of those people who actually want children are going to be fantastic parents, I think that the other 50%, in fact 40, because 10% of us like don't want, the other 40 are going to be terrible parents, because let me tell you why. They're going to sit down and be like, oh, this is the normal course of action. You graduate, you marry, you have a child, because that's what's expected of you
Mhm.
from society, and you just go and do it because, yeah, fun. I think that's not enough reason to bring anybody here.
Well, to be fair, I'm not going to lie to you. I feel like a lot of people that even want to have kids, I think it's a selfish decision.
It is
The people that
selfish.
don't know what their purpose is in life, the people that they're grown adults that have always searched for some sort of fulfillment within themselves,
Yeah,
and they feel like, you know what, maybe my purpose is to have a child. So it's not really for the child, it's for them. And there are people that there are a lot of people that want to bring in kids because they need somebody to take care of them when they're old.
yes,
There are people that feel like, okay, you know what, I haven't found a way to make money in my lifetime, but maybe if I give birth to children and then those children grow up, maybe they'll find a way to make money and then they'll take care of me and then they'll take care of their
exactly.
siblings too,
And
you
it
know?
is as much a selfish reason as it is for me. When people say, oh, it's selfish of you to decide not to want, like, have a child, we are both selfish. Me, I'm just choosing not to do this.
Right.
We are
Right.
both selfish. There are people who say, oh, my legacy. And I'm laughing because it's like,
I was going to get into that
it's like,
because the
what
legacy thing.
legacy? Because again, there's I'm segueing into something that I feel is very important for every Nigerian who wants to have kids or who already has kids to listen. Children are autonomous beings. They feel things,
Mhm.
they have the capacity to process information by themselves. They're autonomous. They can make their own decisions. They can, these are people who are thinking. They might not be able to say it when they're small, but they're a whole
Human
human
being.
being. They're not an extension of you simply because they have your DNA.
But they would carry your name. They would carry that
Yeah,
surname.
a name is not what makes a person.
So imagine somebody that has achieved so much in their entire life, has created so much. Like, okay, imagine someone like Elon Musk, for example, saying, I don't want to have
That
kids.
is a terrible
Wouldn't
example, by the way, but
Why? You don't
okay.
think Elon Musk should have kids? I think he has done
God,
enough. You might not like
I'm
him as a
I'm
person.
rolling my
You might not like him
eyes.
as a person, but I think he has done enough for the world. You don't think so?
I'm rolling my eyes, but go on.
Okay, let's not use Elon Musk. Let's use I don't know. I'm gonna use a woman now. Let's say what's this woman's name? I don't want to pronounce her name wrong.
Chimamanda
Chimamanda, right?
Adichie.
Yeah, she's like, this powerful woman that people talk about,
Mhm.
right? Imagine somebody like that saying, I don't want to have kids. Does she have kids?
She does have kids, and even then, they're still dragging her because she had a child through surrogacy. You cannot win as a woman, which is why I say go and do what you want either way.
So you don't think someone like that should want to carry her legacy, should want her legacy to
Her
continue? Because it's not
legacy,
just about her
her
surname.
legacy is herself and the work that she has done, not the child that she has given birth to. Her legacy is who she is as a person, her contributions to this world, what she has done, the work, the lives that she has impacted, like, all of that stuff. Her legacy is Chimamanda Adichie, not her child.
Hmm.
I'm sorry to break it to whoever, like, it's like, oh, my child is my legacy. No, they're not. They're autonomous beings. Because here's what I'll give you a scenario. You give birth to a child and you're like, oh, my child is my legacy. This is what they are going to do. You pre plan this entire thing. And the child comes and it's like, oh, no, I want no part in that. Then what happens? Then you're crying foul, like, oh God, why me? And you're crying, and then you're making the child's life, a living hell. That for me is cruelty in its in its finest form. And I think that children are not your legacy. I'm sorry. The legacy is the thing that you have built. Your legacy is, whatever it is that you have
You've
done in your
done.
life. That's what will live on even after you've done.
Okay. So for somebody that would say a woman's purpose, like number one purpose, your fulfillment in life is to birth children. And like they say the Bible says, okay, I don't want to go into the Bible, but they say go to the world and reproduce,
That's a
right? I be and
myopic.
multiply.
It's a
Yeah.
very
So for
myopic
people that
way
would
of
say, okay, that's
thinking.
a woman's purpose, how
It's
would you
not my
defend that?
purpose.
So
It's
you don't think it's a woman's
That's not
purpose
my
to
purpose. My
reproduce?
purpose is to. I'm a human being that has been put on this earth to have an experience. My purpose is to experience life. My purpose is not to birth children. I'm sorry. Like, what does that even
But
mean?
imagine if everybody said that, then the world would have gone into extinction.
Okay, then let it.
You think the world should go? I
Like
don't think
it.
you have any grace for the world.
I think it's such a myopic way of thinking that. Uh, Not you,
No,
by
no,
the
I
way.
get that. Like in general, yeah,
Like,
people
it's
that
such a
think that.
myopic way of thinking that a woman's purpose is to bear children.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make a case for them. I can make a case for them.
I
I
could.
don't think that that's a woman's purpose, but I can understand why somebody would think that because at the end of the day, right? If you're going to get doctors, if you're going to get lawyers, if you're going to get teachers, if the world has to continue to run, we need to reproduce, right? So that's a very, very good purpose to have to bring people to this world to
It's
make the world a better place.
it's not a purpose to have. If people choose to have children, then let them. Because again, that is not a purpose for anybody to have. People, there are women, for example, again, I'm a really strong feminist, so this is
I can tell.
it's a bit jarring for me to hear that over and over again. Women do not exist as fantasies and as what's it called, vessels to expand the world. That's not their primary purpose in
But
life.
that's not something.
They're a
Okay, sorry.
human being first before they're a woman. Before they Everybody's like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what we live in a very patriarchal society, and that's what has occurred over the years. But for me personally, women have done and contributed to society as much as men have. Why do we not hear? Because again, child making a child is 50% man, 50% woman.
True.
That's the process of like conceiving a child. Let's leave the other part where it's like the woman then is the person
Carries the
100%
baby.
bringing that child to life. However, why do we not hear that it is a man's purpose to reproduce?
But you know that it is not that it is men that have said this is a woman's purpose. The women, actual women that believe that it is their purpose to.
Then I
Yeah, it's
say,
not like a man thing. It's not something that men are saying it is your purpose to reproduce. There are women that think that
well, then I
that's
say
their
sorrow,
purpose.
sorrow's prayers. If that's what you think that your purpose is in life, sorrow, sorrow's prayers, man. You are more than your uterus or what your uterus could ever produce. What of women who have uteruses and they can't have children? Then what? They're useless?
Well, no, they're not useless. But if something is
Then they
not your
have no
choice,
purpose?
if no,
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 if,
no,
no,
no.
if something is not your
It's
choice,
a it's a it's
there
a
are people that
really
can make
faulty
arguments for that. No, there are
argument.
people that can make
It's a
arguments for that and
faulty
say they want
argument.
to, they just don't. They've had the choice
It's a
taken away from them,
faulty
and we
argument.
see a lot of women that cannot like birth children and they are depressed, like they are sad, and they look for
I feel
every
really
means
sad for
possible.
them
Yeah, they look for. So that's to say that there's
because
something in most women that feels like I should be doing this, right? Because
I'm
if
struggling.
they weren't thinking, oh, I should be doing, then they wouldn't be that sad about it. They're just like, oh, well, I can have kids, okay, I'll move on with my life. But people go to
But you know
extreme
that the
lengths.
reason why a lot of them think that is because we have rhetoric flying around that you're not a woman
If you
if you don't
can
have
be a kid.
children.
Hmm.
That is why a lot of that I've seen again. There are women in my family who have done. I've been in operating rooms where husbands have gone is me, aunties, looking and seeing the pain and the anguish of what it's like to look for a child, knowing fully well that these women are educated, they are going to live really expansive lives, whether or not they have kids. But being there because, one, if I don't give birth to a child, my husband's family will say that I am not woman enough. If I don't give birth to a child, that means this marriage is useless because what exactly is my use? There's so many ways, and all of this is an out, like it's, how do I say this in the nicest way possible? This is, we live in a patriarchal society where women are being told every day that if they don't have children,
They're not
then
real
they are
women.
not they don't have any purpose.
I have a question. So, what then differentiates a man from a woman? Because if you look at biologically, right, the only actual big difference biologically now between a man and a woman is that a woman has a
Your
uterus,
reproductive system.
yeah, and a man doesn't have a uterus, even for like transgender, right? Even when they change their sex, they're still not able to carry a child. So that's like a, from God, a distinctive difference between a man and a woman. So if you say that that's not the purpose of a woman, why do you think that such a big difference was put there by God? If it's not supposed to
It
be
is nobody's
significant.
purpose. I'm having such a hard time. I'm having such a hard time agreeing with you that the purpose of a person is their reproductive system and what they could bring into this world.
No, not just the reproductive system, but nurturing the child and
It's
raising
not.
good members of the society, raising the next doctors. You see, we
I'm
might,
cringing so hard.
somebody can grow up now and need a heart surgery, right? And that's what's going to save that person's life. And the doctor that would have performed that, or the surgeon that would have
How
performed
do
that
you know
surgery,
that?
might have been a child that wasn't born because the mom said, "I don't want
Then
to
the
have kids."
person dies
So
and returns to their creator.
you think people should just die?
Yo, I'm just, no, I don't agree.
Oh
Even with
wow.
my trans sisters, there's like the argument where it's like, it will, like, biologically, there are women who were born like biological, like women who were given birth to and they were assigned
Mm-hmm.
female at birth, who do not have the, they were giving birth to without uteruses. Some of
Yeah.
them were giving birth, like, my intersex siblings who have, they have like male
Male and
and
female
female like
genital. Yeah, yeah.
characteristics. It's like, please, 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 nobody's purpose on this earth is to have a child. We
Okay.
are here just having a human experience, and if you have a child as a result, wow, fantastic.
Okay. So, what are the benefits of not having a child? What do you use that time for? The time that you would have spent, nurturing a child and birthing a child and all of that. What do you use to fill in the gap? Because that's a lot of years.
Mhm.
So how do you fill in the gap?
I think that I am going to live a very beautiful, expansive life. I
Doing.
already do that. One of the things that, one of the reasons why um I do not want children is because my sense of like freedom, my personal freedom is very important to me. The concept of being not tied down, because like that's a very archaic way of thinking. It's the concept of being in a place doing the same thing over and over again would drive me mad. And that's something I recognized within myself, and I decided, no, that's not something I'm interested in.
Right.
Now I am going to use that time to do whatever comes into my head.
Like traveling.
Not even
See the
traveling.
world.
What if I just want to sleep? Like,
I mean, that's a good use
do
of
you
your
know
time. Yeah.
exactly? Like, what if that's just what I want to do? I want to sleep without no interruptions. I want to watch my shows and nobody's calling me,
For the
mommy.
rest of your life, though.
Oh my god, that sounds like a fun time. Don't threaten me with a good time. Oh my god, it sounds like a fun time. Even now, like when I do have partners, one of the things that is a non-negotiable is Camille's alone time. I
Right.
love, 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 love having time to myself to do whatever. I don't care what I'm doing. I
Right.
just do things. And I think that for me personally, I have a long life hopefully ahead
By
of
God's
me.
grace.
And there's so many things to be done, so many books to read, so many music to listen to, movies to watch, places to
Places to travel
be, and
to.
things to do. I love it. I would recommend a book to anyone who it changed my life, especially with thinking about how to fill your life
Mm-hmm.
um when you don't want to have children. Because again, I was going to mention that that it is a very lonely experience,
Right.
because out of your friend group you might be the one person who doesn't want to have children, and then you have like five other friends who wants kids. There's a type of, I would admit that there's a type of grief in that, in accepting that your life is going to be very lonely,
Mm-hmm.
and people are going to live very like separate lives
Life.
outside of yourself, but places to be and things to do, so many things that you can do.
I have two questions that we have to run through fast because we're
Yeah.
running out of time. My first question is, what happens if you get pregnant? A lot of people get pregnant like without planning it, like it just happened. Then what happens?
For that to happen, you have to be a bit irresponsible with your sexual health.
Because there are ways to protect yourself.
Yes.
But what if the condom busts? What if the birth control fails? What if there are many, we hear of these things.
We will go to marriage stops.
What's marriage stops?
Google it. Do your Googles. I can tell you what that is. Marriage stops, everybody.
Okay, I guess we'll find out what marriage stuff is because I don't even know. I don't even know what that is, but fine. And then my final question goes to, there are a lot of women like you that don't want to have kids. And for me, to each his own, live your life. However, nobody should tell anybody how to live their lives, right? You own your own life and you have the right to whatever choices you want to make. So there are a lot of women that share the same belief. And what would you say to, if any of them was watching you right now, what would you say to them?
Your life, you've already made the decision. Your life is yours, and I hope that you live it to the fullest. Live your life. This one is one. And if you ever decide to change your mind, it's valid as well. But live your life.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. I
much.
really enjoyed this
Me
conversation. And
too.
I love talking to you. I like the way you think and I like that, it's very refreshing to find people that are independent critical thinkers and are able to just think of on their own without following the bandwagon of, this is what society says we should do. So I love that for you. And I hope
Thank
you live a
you.
full and healthy and happy life by the grace of God.
Thank you so much.
So
Thanks a
yes, I'm
lot.
going to wrap this up
Yeah.
quickly. This is not to, bash people that want to have kids. I think that's completely fine. If you think your life purpose is to have kids and you cannot wait to, carry your own children and nurture them, I think that's a very great thing to do. I think women that decide to go on that journey as strong women, I think that's a very heroic thing to do, right? And more grease to your elbows. And if you choose not to also, there's nobody that should tell you what to do or what not to do with your life. So to each his own. And on that note, we've come to the end of this episode. We hope that you've learned a thing or two from this episode because I have learned a lot. Trust me. And we'll see you same time next week. And bye guys.